Wednesday, August 12th. Roll call. Everyone's here. Shelley is ill. Attest to publication.
I saw it posted.
Thank you, Joni. Approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Joni, seconded by Tina. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Lisa will read the district mission, vision, and values, and our Board of Education collective commitment.
Bangor School District mission, vision, and values. Mission, Bangor Pride, a small school building big futures. Vision, an innovative small school community committed to building pathways to excellence and belonging for all. Values, student-centered, safety, opportunities for all, small class sizes, fiscally sustainable, foster community, continuous improvement, and collaboration. Board of Education collective commitments. As a member of the Bangor School District, I will be an active listener who is open-minded, respectful, and inquisitive. Together with one collective voice, we are committed to forward thinking while strategically prioritizing for our students, staff, and community now and into the future.
Thank you, Lisa. Approval of minutes from July 8th. Oh, excuse me, I skipped public comment. I'm sorry. Public comment. Approval of the minutes, July 8th, 2026.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Tina, seconded by Lisa. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. No special reports, no board president report. Policy committee. Looks like they met on July 16th. Joni, David?
Yes, we did. It seems like a lifetime ago, but this was kind of tough. It wasn't because there was a lot of decisions to make. It was just the content, the subject matter, which brought forth a lot of, I thought, good conversation. David, as usual, put a lot of things into perspective for us, gave us another way to look at it. But the biggest share of it was all legally required for Act 89 or whatever, 57, excuse me. So, yeah, hopefully everybody got a chance to look at them.
Act 89, you might have been right. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Joni. Goals committee.
So I just have on there, and I had intentions to reached out to you guys, but before the next month's meeting, I would like to get a goals committee and a building and grounds committee. So the guys are going to talk to you a little bit later about their teams that are meeting tomorrow, develop some goals out of those that will inform our first discussions as the goals committee, and then we'll set those at that meeting. And then building and grounds, Ryan has hit the ground running, and want him to join us for a meeting, and want to kind of share some of the next level projects that we're looking at that we want to start collecting bids on, and be ready to see if we want to put those as part of our 26-27 budget. So those two meetings I'll get scheduled as soon as I am able to get in contact with all of you. So just wanted to heads up on those two things.
Thank you. So we're good for both goals and building and grounds. Okay, thank you. All right, next, financial documents.
So I didn't have any questions this month, but I had promised you last month that I was going to give you guys just a really quick reminder overview of what to look at in these documents. So especially if you have it on your computer and you can look at everything. I did add kind of a cheat sheet in your documents that you can see. If again, I think Jean printed that out for you. So you see two reports each month. One's the general accounts checks, and the other is that financial or FINREP, kind of the monthly overview of all income and expenses. It refers to that accounts checks or the general accounts checks. Quarterly, so this month you're seeing the activity accounts checks, and that's everything that happens in the activity accounts. So anything for our clubs, teams, outside of their general operation. The monthly reports, monthly reports that come in every month on the general accounts covers Fund 10, which is our general expense account for all things education. Fund 27, which is specifically special education. Fund 50, which is food service. So all of that is included in that, in those monthly reports that you see. In the activities account, that's an account that should be self-sustaining. So they are fundraising. They are when we have money come in from a tournament hosting, that goes into that account to cover some of the expenses. But that's a self-sustaining account. Fundraising, tournaments, donations, those types of things. Funds may carry over in that from year to year, which is important because when we talk about our budget, we have to spend down at the end of the year, allocate all of those dollars. These may carry over in those activity accounts. So again, when something's been donated to purchase something and we don't purchase it by the end of the year, we can still purchase it in the next fiscal year, those types of things. So just some specifics about that. When you look at the reports that are the reports with the checks, just a couple of reminders for you. On the left-hand side, it says check type. The vast majority of them are going to be R for regular, so just a regular check that's being cut. A single, or S, is a single. And this month we did have a single where we sent 2 drivers to go be tested, re-road test for their CDLs for bus drivers. And the person, they were both to the same person. They were $50 a piece, but they had to be separate checks, one stapled with each packet. It kind of how that works. So it's a single, but it was $100 expense on that day for those guys to get tested. Not very frequent, but it happens in there. You'll see it. You'll see a lot of W's, especially in the general, which is wire transfers. And most of those wire transfers are ongoing. So that's where our payments to insurance go, the kind of monthly expenses that we have set up with those wired connections go through. So there's quite a few of those, but that gives you an idea of what that is. And very infrequently, none in this month, you'll see a V for void, where it's canceling something out there. So that's that description. The invoice descriptions is what you guys are always looking for, kind of what's it for and why it is. And as Angie and I talked about that, when people go through the requisition process, when administrators go through the requisition process and put why that description, that's what shows up. It does not automatically, like when Angie's entering expenses directly, it doesn't come. When we do a credit card, it doesn't have the individualized things for all of those things that came into it. So it's only there if it was entered through the requisition process. And that's where I would just tell you, if there's something that comes up and it doesn't have a description there, don't hesitate to reach out to Angie and I, and we can zero in and tell you exactly what that purchase was for. The account descriptions is where you're going to get what account it's coming out of. That's the far right-hand column of those sheets, where you're going to see, the general insurance. You're going to see staff training. You're going to see food service, equipment, those type. You're going to see a general description of the accounts that money is either going out of or usually going out of, because this would be an expense report that you guys are approving. On the financial report sheet, that's the summary. So that's the whole month summary of what you would see there. The receipts are all money that came in that month, and that's going to vary drastically. So the state of Wisconsin made some payments during between 7/4 and 8/7. You'll see those there. The food service program had some deposits during that point in time. Fee admissions, so that's the Balavizics. So we hosted a Balavizics training here a couple of weeks ago, and we had people from other school districts and CISA attend. They paid $200 a person to come. That's where that money comes into the district there. The miscellaneous then are some of the things that don't fall in either one fall in the other categories. So the miscellaneous here this month, the stop loss reimbursement falls into that miscellaneous. That's a fairly large one. PTO had a donation in there. I'm trying to think what else. Former employee dental coverage, those types of things. In the expenditure side of things, this is where we'll get some questions from time to time. That first line is summarized in this big document. That's the expenditures. Transfer to a money market you're going to see, and that's going to be in parentheses. That's transferring basically from Riverbank to First National Bank. It's one account to another. We're not spending it, but it's leaving one bank account and going to a different bank account. So that's how it's kept track of. And you can see at the bottom that's reflected in the balance on hand versus the expenditures, because it's not actually an expenditure. So that kind of explains that. The credit card processing fee, I think it's an interesting time to talk about that. We found at the end of the year that when we do the online like lunch account balances and fees and those types of things, there's a fee charged, and we had a small dollar fee or whatever to do that. We have to put in a dollar amount. We can't put in a percentage, but the credit cards charge us a percentage. So that's actually what we lost last year between the difference in credit card processing fee. So we've increased the amount before registration. The other thing on registration day is we used to waive all of that extra cost just to collect as much money as we could on that day, which is great, but then that's costing us $5,000 a year. So we didn't waive that this year. So to use a credit card, you were going to pay the same fee. So I guess it still will cost us money if somebody puts in a very large amount on the credit card one time. But if they're making smaller payments throughout the year, we should be closer at the end of the year. So just one of the things that we see when we're putting this together, and we've made the corrections on that. And then payrolls and those types of things. I think that covers most everything on that, but as you're reviewing this, as you're asking questions, that gives you an idea of what to ask questions about. Don't ever hesitate to do that. I always try to respond to a question that came from you guys at the meeting on what exactly is there, and then make sure that you're fully informed on the expenses going out. Any questions or?
I have a question.
Yeah.
The fee that you're just talking about for credit card, is that a JMC thing, or is that the program within
So
that?
I believe it's a food service thing. We tried like to get it, but the food service basically says you can only charge a flat rate. And we need to charge a percentage because that's what JMC charges. So we'd like to try to get those to jive. We've worked on that a little bit, but there's still a discrepancy there. So we're hoping the increased fee helps, but it should close that gap for sure. But we may still have to address it again in the
Do we have
future.
a lot of families that use that method, or do most people bring in cash or checks?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Just one small thing. I mean, the 2 reports per month, I mean, we actually get 3 because Fund 21 is by itself.
Fund 21 though is every 3 months.
No, it's the activity, the one that's every 3 months is the one that shows what's in the balance, like cheerleading or Spanish. Fund 21 is every month.
Okay, thank you.
Yep,
Thank you. I apologize. And the activity one I know comes
Yep.
in quarterly.
yep.
I'll fix that sheet and
Well,
get it to you again next week.
Not a big deal, but,
It is. Thank you, Joni.
yep.
If there are no other questions, we'd look for approval of this month's financials with a little extra time spent on them this month.
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Joni, seconded by Tina. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 25-26 budget adjustment.
Yeah, so again, this is audit related. Every year, for years, we got the audit notification that we didn't do enough financial or like budget adjustments throughout the year. We had done one earlier in the year already. We're doing this one again at the end of the year to kind of finalize where the budget ended for the year, and cleaning up that line on the audit and getting a better idea of where exactly we ended the year. So we would just need board approval to approve that adjustment.
I'll make a motion then to approve the 25-26 budget adjustment.
Second.
Motion by Lisa, seconded by Kelly. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Moving to Parent Square, or district reports. Moving to Parent Square.
Yeah, this is going to be quick. I don't have a whole lot in here. I just wanted to share, I had shared with the board through email. This kind of happened fairly quickly after we had our policy review committee. The biggest piece to me, the most immediate action from Act 89 was the fact that we need to have district-approved communication platforms. So they talk about devices, but it's really about the platform that they're using and not using personal emails, personal cell phone numbers, and those types of things. This is a protection for our kids. This is a protection for our staff. I reached out to all of the coaches, the teachers, asked them how they're communicating with families right now, and took that list and started researching into that. One of the highest used and most frequent used was the Remind app, used by a lot of the teams. Seemed to work really well. When I looked into Remind, they had just been purchased by Parent Square. Parent Square then is taking over all of the functionality of that app, and it seems to be making a pretty good transition with it. As we looked into that, not only did the app meet all of the requirements that we needed to do, it will also allow us to update our website this year, which is something that more than a few of us have talked about in the past needs to be updated. So this will take over all services and replace Aptigee. Right now, for the first 3 years or 4 years, this is how I signed the contract, would at less or at about the equivalent money to what we were paying for Aptigee without the parent communication and the student communication platform. So it seemed to us to be a really good move for the district. It's going to get us through the update of our website throughout the course of this year before January 1st, and it's going to give us a platform that we can communicate with our students and families more effectively, and hopefully universally. As we've talked, the desire to have everybody speaking the same language versus this club or activity using this app and this club or activity using this app. It's all warehoused or archived, and it's accessible by the district at any time if we need to go back and look at communication between folks. So I think that's just an important part of it. So we are in the implementation phase. We have got our teachers getting signed on. We'll provide them some time during professional development day to learn a little bit more about it, to practice with it, try a little bit. We've been sending out the notifications, just getting parents to log in, get the app, and do those types of things, and we'll continue to push for that. Coaches are starting to make that transition, and basically by September 1st, we're supposed to be all on that app list. The policy, the law states that we have to create a list of district-approved apps. This obviously becomes one of them. Our Google email, Classroom, all of those types of things continues to be an acceptable way to communicate. Communicating through JMC continues to be an acceptable way to communicate. And then I actually looked into pretty extensively the Team Builder app that's being used in the weight room to organize that, has a communication piece that meets all of our criteria. So that is the list right now of district-approved apps. So that's the only way that we should be communicating, especially with students, but hopefully with everyone moving forward, just to protect our students and to protect our staff moving forward. So there will be some bumps along the way. We talked about this kind of in depth at the policy review committee. It's not like any of us were saying, hey, let's throw a bunch of change at people right before the school starts because we think this is a great idea. But we need to do this, and it was the time to move, and I think we're headed in a good direction. We are not alone when we look at neighboring districts that have jumped onto Parent Square as well. So I think it will become much easier for people to navigate. There's just going to be a learning curve as we get there. So.
Dr. Brockup, this is district-wide for K through 12.
For K through 12, all clubs, sports, activities, anything where our staff and their staff capacity is communicating with students, families, those types of things.
But doesn't replace, they can still email.
They can still email, absolutely. And a parent can actually set their preferences, so instead of getting a notification through the map, or through the app, they just get an email or they just get a text message. So that's part of why we're encouraging parents to log in and verify how they want their communication to be. It is very customizable for that. And I will tell you, once you set it up, it is as easy as sending a group text message to a group of friends or family or whatever it may be. You can have individual text messages. You can do phone calls through this app. That's, again, all recorded and all using school channels versus your personal device and your personal accounts. So
I set ours up today, and it was super user-friendly. It did prompt our emergency contact.
yeah.
As well, and would you encourage that?
They can definitely sign up for like the notifications they want. So if they wanted to see when schools close, they could get that emergency type notification.
Okay.
If they want newsletters that come out, they should be able to select the different levels of things that come.
All right.
They don't necessarily need every,
Right.
so they should be able to select the level of notification that they would like. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
I got a couple questions, kind of combines two agenda items. So as far as the app, I would assume that during the PD days, you're going to be maybe meeting with the people, showing them how to use it, and then also discussing Act 89 so everybody understands what it is.
Correct. They will all be trained and on the why behind it, and they will be, given opportunity to work with the app, and we will show them, demonstrate. I shared another group of videos with them today for those that are more tech savvy that like to learn and try to figure things out. It's really hard to mess up if they're exploring and trying in it, and they work with a lot of software that's like that. So some are going to take it and go, and they'll become the super users that help others as well.
So second question, so that's good, that covers our staff, but how are we getting this message communicated to the people that are not teachers or, employees of the district per se, so they get the same message?
Well, I think we can definitely make it part of, like our open houses and those types of things that we're starting to notify them. As far as the training, we can send out some videos. We could offer an evening or whatever if they want to come in and set it up, those types of things. I think that's probably possible in both of our buildings if they want to come in and experiment with it. I think as their teachers start to work with it, it's gonna come. It's foreign right now because you're not getting messages. Once you see them start to come through and you start to communicate with them, I think it's gonna come pretty naturally.
I guess that part of it I understand. I guess I'm just more concerned about our coaching staff, advisors, so on and so forth, that are not teachers, that they get the same exact message, so they're following the same exact rules. I just want to make sure that they're getting that same message.
We'll have a coaches meeting during those PD days where we'll bring those coaches together. Anybody that's not there, we'll make sure that they're up to speed as well.
Okay.
Thank you. It's all things that we're worried about and trying to make sure that everybody's got what they need.
So the kids can put it on their personal devices. Do they put it on their school iPads also?
We will push it onto all of their iPads, so it's automatically there.
Any other questions regarding Parent Square? Okay. Compensation points updates.
All right. So, as you know, with our pay scale, every 6 years, teachers need to collect 60 points over that 6-year cycle. And that's something that was put into place before I got here to move to the next level of compensation. And we've carried this out, and it has gone well. What we noticed, or not just noticed, but what we looked at this year is there's definitely some categories that could fall off because they don't get used as much anymore. And one of the conversations we had, not necessarily because teachers weren't able to get it, but because just the world has changed since this was put in place, is that it was set up that 60%, so 36 points, needed to be from professional development. And that was in a day when teachers were required to continue taking classes every 6 years to renew their license. And now that our teachers all have lifetime licenses, it's a little bit different on that professional development side. So we wanted to take a little bit of value off that and understand that. So moving that to 40%, so 24 points of the 60 have to come from that category. And then we'd like to bump the leadership up to 12 and bump or up to 20% from 10%, and the community involvement from 10% up to 20%. Basically, just those have been priorities for us, having teachers involved and engaged in the whole community process within the school as leaders, taking part in committees, those types of things, coaching, whatever those things may be, and then also just being involved in the greater community as well, and being at events and being visible and those types of things. So putting a little bit more of emphasis on those items. So again, the highlights are basically the changes that we're looking at there. The other part of this that is highlighted down there at the bottom is we really talked about. We've had the conversation a number of times that if you look at the hour for hour time that is put into Schedule C, our teachers aren't making a tremendous amount of money on anything on Schedule C for the number of hours that they put in. But we want teachers to be engaged in coaching and advising and doing those types of things. So we added a column to our Schedule C that gives them points. Not the same level of points that are on this sheet, but gives them some points for taking on a leadership role as a coach, taking on a leadership role as an advisor, and those types of things. So we would include those points in there too, in the school community involvement, the leadership, the areas in that as well. So just kind of getting them more opportunities and more benefits for taking on those roles on Schedule C. So I think that's the other change. So wanted to put that before you because it's a lot of changes in the percentages and it affects teachers' movement. So if there's any questions, I'll answer. Otherwise, we'd look for approval of the changes made to the Bangor compensation points.
Well, it makes a lot more sense after you explain it. I was struggling with this at home, so thank you.
I'm glad I wasn't alone with the struggling on it. The only question I have, which I'm sorry, it slipped my mind earlier when we talked, how is it tracked?
They have a spreadsheet that they track over the 6-year period. And then at the end of the 6-year period, I have my list ready. I'm going to send an email to the teachers that have to move this year. They'll get an email. Their principals will be advised that they have to move. And then throughout the year, they meet with the principals.
Okay.
We confirm that all of the points were actually earned and something wasn't recorded that it wasn't.
Perfect.
That's signed by both parties, given to me. I verify with Angie that they can move forward. So
Okay.
and then that's documented in their personnel
A
file.
good process.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
It's all new to me, so thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem.
I'll make a motion to approve the update to the compensation points document as updated.
I'll second.
Motion by Joni, seconded by Jessica. Any other questions or further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 2026-2027 safety plan.
This is a revision of the safety plan, and I would say 99% primarily just updating contacts with new principals, new building and ground supervisor, all of those types of things, getting all of that information up to date and accurate so we would have this to submit. I think there are things that we will continue to grow in. Principals just participated in some behavioral threat assessment training. We'll have conversations from that. If we, need to change processes from there, we will keep you updated on that. But just tonight, looking for approval of the plan with all the updates and the content, our contacts and so forth completed.
I'll make a motion to approve the 26-27 district safety plan as presented.
Second.
Motion by Jessica, seconded by Kelly. Any questions or further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 2026-2027 Staff Handbook.
I thought tonight that I would read this to you. 133-page document, and I will just give a huge shout out to the admin team. Jordan Laufenberg joined us for those conversations. It took us multiple days, multiple long sessions, comparing what the WASDA plan or the WASDA updated policy handbook was to our current, and making changes. So I'm going to give you just a real brief summary on it. There is a summary of all of the changes on one document, and then a finished document there, and then you guys got the Word document that you could see all the edits in. And I'll definitely take time to answer questions, but we made changes for really three reasons. One, most of the changes were format and changes in language that came directly from the WASBA exemplar handbook, which we pay a subscription for to use each year, so it keeps us legally compliant. Changes were also made to match current practices. In some cases, the recommended process doesn't make sense for our district and our size and the number of people involved, so we make it fit ours. And some changes are based on the experience trends, requests from employees, those types of things, trying to make a good working environment for our staff. So overview, instead of that full document, I'm going to highlight the ones that I think that you probably need to understand the most. One, we matched language to board policy whenever we could. So we've done a lot of board policy updates that address a lot of the same things, and instead of being redundant where we have to go in and change both, we referred to board policy and made sure they were in alignment with our policy. We corrected a lot of links that linked to or referenced other documents, policies, or specific places in the appendix. We tried to eliminate a lot of the page numbers to go to this page because the pages kept changing as we edited, and we didn't want to have to go back and change all those page numbers over and over again. We provided district-specific language on nepotism based on our board's conversations when hiring decisions have been made, about who can be a part of discussions when there is a familial relationship. We had some clarification on Jeans Day, and in the dress code, and noted Jeans Day and the fact that Jeans Days are approved by administration or on those Fridays that they pay for. Assuming, now that implying that it is professional dress the rest of the time, and that's something that we'll talk to staff about when we come back to school as well. We removed some language that does not apply to the district from the exemplar, that it actually snuck into past ones where some school districts have specific sites that they allow alcohol on. We don't. We took that language out. Some school districts have forests where they allow hunting on. We took that language out. Just didn't feel like it needed to be in ours, and we were trying to shorten as much as we could. Clarification on the reimbursement for purchases. I think that was a big one, and one that we talked about quite extensively, that we want people to run purchases through the proper channels, not be purchasing them on their cards and then asking for reimbursement. They have to be pre-approved, and that we don't reimburse for tax. So making it very clear, because we've gotten into that a few times, we can't reimburse for tax, and somebody's upset because, well, I bought this and I need to be reimbursed, and this is $15 for tax, and we're sorry, we can't. So just putting that in the handbook as well. Again, just a clarification and a simplicity change was we had allowed time off, sick days, personal days to be taken in any increment of time. So we had eighths of days and all kinds of things like that. We've just said that it's in quarter day increments for ease of keeping track of and all of those types of things. Increase, this is a significant one, increase the number of sick days that can be used for personal time for our teachers and for our staff from 2 to 3 per year. So it was 2 that can be taken from sick time and used for personal reasons. And you can accumulate right now up to 3. With this change, it would be up to 4 by not using all of them in 1 year. This has been a huge request, and I think really post-pandemic, people want the flexibility to be able to get a little bit of time off during the year, but yet we understand that they are 9-month employees and they have some time off, and I think this is a step in the right direction. I hope that the staff takes this, uses it well, and uses it respectfully and honestly, and then we can revisit this in the future. But I think this is good for our staff and a reasonable middle ground for when some districts are moving to just straight paid time off. So I think this is a step, and it is not my goal to get us to straight paid time off. We simplified language when we could point to other processes. So there was a lot of language in there about insurance benefits. Our insurance benefits is a completely different process. We don't need to duplicate that. We just pointed where that could go. We've updated our evaluation language to align with the work that's being done to shift to the state model this year. We updated and increased the penalties for backing out of a contract late, including adding language in from that many other districts have, that if you accept a contract with us and then school hasn't even started and you continue to shop for a job somewhere else, when you back out of that contract, you would have a penalty. So that's language that many other school districts had. We have adopted that in this update. We adjusted the break language for our hourly folks to be more in line with the WASBA exemplar. I would say some of that language was still held over from the original CBA, the collective bargaining agreements, when the handbook first started getting used. We're closer in line to what WASBA has suggested now, and still going to honor our staff's needs when they need to take a little break, especially our support staff. Added language on punching in and out on the computer versus a time card that wasn't in there. That's an interesting one. We increased the vacation day allotment for our hourly employees, and I apologize, those are the hourly employees that work year-round. So our full-year employees, basically our custodial staff, and letting them get to the 20 days max sooner. Again, I think as much difficulty as we have had hiring for some of those positions, allowing them a little flexibility to take a vacation. We can accommodate that in the summer, especially. We want to make sure that we're doing that. What else? The other piece, we do have some paras that have sub-licenses and sub for us, and we had addressed this, that the sub pay was less than what they were getting paid per hour. So we're going to continue to pay them per hour, but then pay them an incentive amount. I think we said $250 per quarter day, so a total of $10 for the day, additional if they sub for a classroom teacher. So there's always a motivation for that teacher or that para, a willingness to go and sub for us as a teacher when we need that on that day. So just trying to clean up some of those situations that we're dealing with. Again, those are the pieces that I felt like you would want to know. I think there was some really good conversation around all of those, and a lot of the other stuff was just cleaning up a lot of arduous language in a 133-page document. So, any questions, fire away. Otherwise, we'd look for approval of the 26-27 handbook, and be glad to have that one in the books.
If there's no questions, I'll make a motion to approve the 26-27 staff handbook as presented.
I'll second.
Motion made by Lisa, seconded by Jessica. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you all for this work. All right, policy updates.
Yeah, Joni referred to this correctly before, and then I incorrectly corrected her, and I apologize for that. So we did make some.
Incorrectly corrected?
I incorrectly corrected her, and I'll own that. So we did the policy updates on Act 89. So this is the anti-grooming legislation that came through. This is the communication, the need for the communication app, and there's a summary in there kind of explaining what was changed and why. So entertain any discussion on that. Otherwise, look for an update on the policies as reviewed by the Policy Review Committee.
If there aren't any questions, I'll make a motion to approve the policies in Neola's special update on Act 89 as reviewed by our PRC.
I'll second.
Motion by Joni, seconded by Lisa. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Policy Committee, for your work as well. Additional masonry repairs.
I am almost done talking, and I'm happy about that. So the masonry repair, I communicated to you guys via email. Just wanted to keep that process moving. So we've been very, very pleased with the work that Donald Berger Masonry has been doing to update this building and go through the expansion joints and repair some broken bricks. They've done an excellent job. The original quote was for 15 days, and their labor and all of that through that. We thought we'd get most of it. It was a little bit more intensive on a couple of areas than we'd intended. So we need another 2 weeks to get up to do all of the things on the roof. They're working their way around that already, and this is still, financially a great bid, and very pleased with the work they're doing. And this work, when completed, is going to set that exterior masonry up for the next 20 to 30 years again, and ready to go for us. So excited for that work. So looking for approval, formal board approval for the additional 2 weeks of masonry repairs by Donald Berger Masonry.
I'll make a motion to approve the additional 2 weeks of masonry repairs to Bangor Middle School, High School by Daryl Berger Masonry at a cost of $18,400.
Second.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Tina. Any other questions or further discussion?
No further discussions. I'm just super excited this is being done because this was on our list when we went through everything that needed to be done during our major build. So the fact that this is done is exciting.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Tina. Personnel, Dr. Brackup.
I'm going to give you a little bit of overview, and then I'm going to turn the hire over to Dave. So the additional 4K position we talked about, our numbers have stayed steady. We're sitting at 47. I gave that to you in the content for that. That very much to me justifies creating that section where we will have two sections of up to 20 and then one section of up to 10. We still do have, I believe, 5 kiddos that are on a waiting list. I don't know that any of them have waited to register, but we would open up to that 50 point to get to that point. We got through registration yesterday, and we know we have not had any other in-district kiddos show up. So we would be looking to open that up and move forward with the hire. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dave on the hire, unless you have questions with me on the fact that we still have that need. There you go.
There we go. Had to hit the right button. Good evening. So, Leah Kidd, after the interviews, we interviewed 5 folks for the 4K position. We had 15 applicants, and again, I've said this before, but we are a district that people want to come to. It's pretty amazing. 15 applicants. One of them was a a friend of mine is a principal in a nearby district, and one of the applicants was from his district, and he's like, "Don't go stealing her from me." And anyway, I said, "Yeah, we got 15 applicants." He's like, "You got to be kidding me!" And so it's pretty remarkable. It speaks volumes of our district and our community. Anyway, after we got done interviewing those 5 folks, Leah, the comments we had about her, I could sum it up in one sentence. We said this person was born to be a 4K teacher, and it was amazing. So I think we'd hit a home run with her, and I can't wait to see her get started. I did just a special note when we're talking about the 2020-10, meaning the class sizes with the 3 different sections. You know, we were trying to decide where are we going to place her, because putting a new teacher into that group of 10 which would not have the dedicated para support, that can be a big ask. So in the reference calls, I asked specifically, in addition to the other questions, these are cooperating teachers of her and their student teaching placements. I explained the situation. I said, "Now, do you think that she might be able to handle a class of 10 on her own?" And both of them said, "Absolutely," without any hesitation. And so that, I really do think we hit a home run with Leah, and I can't wait to see her get started.
Are we doing them individually, I assume? Sure. I just lost my page, though, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the hire of Leah Kidd to teach an additional section of 4K for the 26-27 school year.
I'll second.
A motion made by Tina, seconded by Jessica. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to higher elementary special ed teacher.
Okay, I'll take this one as well. Elementary, after all. So, Michelle Berg-Mattson, I guess just to recap real quickly, we had interviewed again. We had a lot of applicants in the spring. I believe it was 14, going back in my memory, for the special ed position. We hired somebody that we felt great about. She ended up going in another direction. And so then we, of course, had to open up it again. As you know, we interviewed a few folks, and we didn't find anybody that was suitable to hire. So Michelle Berg-Mattson has been a para with us for the last year, a special education para, and she is highly respected by her peers as well as by parents and students. And when I called her earlier this month, and I just kind of explained, where we're at, what I told her, and what I believe is, I said, everything happens for a reason. We don't always know that reason at the time, but I think it could very well be that we are at a position now where maybe we should have been the whole time. I think people feel that strongly about Michelle and what she brings to the table. And so obviously it'll be an emergency license, but she is fully capable. And not only fully capable, I just think she's going to do a great job. She thinks outside the box. She's one of the people that when she subbed along with Vicki Barrett, thank you. The last name was coming to mind, but I couldn't think of the Vicki. Anyway, so she subbed along with Vicki Barrett in the spring when Courtney was gone on maternity leave. And one of the things that just struck me about Michelle was oftentimes when there is a kid who needs some extra attention, sometimes behaviorally, the principal's the first one to be called, or one of the people that's called, and Michelle will go out of her way to go and address that kid and to work with that kid to try and keep that kid out of the principal's office and from being a punitive situation. And I can't tell you how that important that is when you're trying to build relationships with these kids. And so I just think that I think that we're very fortunate to be in this position with Michelle. So.
I'll make a motion to approve the hire of Michelle Berg-Mattson as elementary special education teacher for the 2026-27 school year.
I'll second.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Lisa. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right. right, moving on to administrative reports. So Josh is not here tonight. He has stuff available for us to read. David, anything you would like to add?
He and I just chatted briefly. Todd, their conference head coaches are meeting tonight, and Todd could not be at football and baseball at the same time. So Chap is representing football for us at that meeting. And he and I sat down real briefly and talked through this today, and he thought there was probably nothing that needed to be specifically talked about, but something you can read through and have an idea on what the allocations are looking like, our the seclusion and restraint report, and those types of things for the year. So any questions, I can definitely have him follow up with you.
Anybody have any questions right now? All right, Mr. Luke.
All right, here we go again. So I was just going to make a quick note that I was just looking on WeCan, and, with Michelle moving into the special ed position, that means we have a para position open. And once again, it's pretty amazing. We already have 5 applicants, which for a paraprofessional position is great. And I know we'll have at least one more this weekend, and then we'll be doing some interviews next week to fill that. So good news there as well. All right, so I just put a couple of things on my report. The first, I'll kind of flip-flop them. The first is just looking forward to the school year getting started, and I guess I just turned to in-service is where I'd really begin with that. And our 3 days of in-service, there's a day before that for new hires. It's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is we have some collective fun and learning about our school. Brian came up with an idea, as he often does, as you know, and we're going to do a little. I'm not going to say much because it's a surprise to the staff, and there might be some that are listening/watching, but we have a really fun activity for them, which will get them to work together and to learn new things about our school district and have a lot of fun along the way. I'm just going to leave it at that, okay? So kudos to Brian for that. I'm also really excited about, this is our second year of our reading curriculum, and year one was, the staff did a tremendous job with it, but it's tough adopting a new curriculum. There's no doubt about it, and we have assessed that we need we need a little coaching with the writing portion of that curriculum. And so we have reading, we have 3 and 3 hours, so 3 hours for K2, 3 hours for 3-5 of training/coaching. It will be an interactive training on the Thursday of in-service. We also have CISA coming in to help us with our educator effectiveness, and we're really trying to increase our district-wide and school-wide focus on engagement, as well as building a culture that promotes learning, and CISA is going to help us with that, get that rolled out to the staff. And then finally, and this isn't necessarily just in service, but really excited to have our Reading Corps volunteer. I spoke about that in the spring. I'm not sure if you remember that or not, but we have a Reading Corps volunteer. Reading Corps is a part of AmeriCorps. And so this woman is going to be with us 5 hours a day. And I spoke with her. She is super excited to get here. She's going to come in on, I believe it's this Friday. I have it on my calendar. Anyway, she's going to come in, or not this Friday, but next Friday, and meet with our title specialists and myself, and so she can hit the ground running when she comes here the week of in-service. So we're super excited for that. It's going to give us an opportunity to help those kids with reading who don't necessarily qualify by the numbers for a reading intervention, but we know they could really use that extra boost. And so can't wait to see that get going. And then finally, the second bullet point, actually it was my first bullet point, but I'm turning into the second one, is our leadership teams. And I just want to talk about that a little bit. I apologize if I speak a little bit more than I'd intended to, but it's just really motivating to see these people at work. And I just have to tell you, as a school board, that our staff members care, and boy, do they care about what they do. We had meetings today. I had a meeting with our leadership team leaders, including one that was on vacation in northern Wisconsin and had joined us by Google Meet for the entire 2 hours that we were meeting and planning out our meetings for tomorrow with the teams, and another one that had another obligation babysitting her niece, and she also joined us by Google Meet, and we really just planned what they're gonna do with their teams and what they're gonna talk about tomorrow during their meetings. So, and then to piggyback off of that with the motivating, just being motivated by our staff, is we just spent the last 4.5 hours. We started at 1:30 and finished up at about 6 o'clock with 2 staff members. We went through our entire staff handbook and just picked it apart, and it's unbelievable to me. You know, I didn't tell them to stay there for that long. I had an hour planned, and they didn't question it for 1 second. And it was pretty. In fact, I had to step away for a half an hour, and they said, like, "Do you mind if we just keep going?" I was like, "Nope, not at all." So it's pretty awesome what these people do for our district. And my computer just shut down. That's a sign that I talk too much. So then Dr. Brockup asked to talk a little bit about the teams and their goals. And one of the things that I've really talked about with our team today and in an email this last weekend was, we're talking about these teams. I really am encouraging them to take it slow, go alone, go fast, go together, and go far. And I told them, this is a marathon, these leadership teams. And, if you sprint out of the gate in a marathon, you're going to run out of steam. And that's the last thing I want to see happen to these teams. And, we're, my vision, this is what I told them today, my vision is that 15 years from now, once I'm long gone from Bangor Elementary, I'm hoping that I talk to somebody from Bangor Elementary and they're going to talk to me about these leadership teams that they have going that are building and empowering leadership and holding team members accountable to each other. So that's my vision, that's my hope, and that's the plan. So tomorrow, a few of their goals, what they're going to talk about, their priorities. The Guiding Coalition team is going to talk about some data, some WISE Dash data from last year, from the Forward exam, as well as from MAP testing last year. And then we're going to really drill down with the standards, what we are expecting the Forward exam to cover this coming year, a little bit of trend analysis based on what the last 2 years have been, the standards that have been hit in the Forward exam, and then hopefully so that we can really focus our instruction this year on those standards. And the Cardinal Way team, which is the behavior team, they're focusing tomorrow on their the monthly character words and the monthly assemblies that we have for our kids, along with a couple other things. And the operations team they're going to be continuing the work that we did today on the staff handbook, and also discussing some of the logistics we have in the morning, as far as like with our announcements and the Pledge of Allegiance and just those day-to-day operations. And then finally, the Vibe Tribe, which is our culture team. They are not able to meet tomorrow, but they are going to meet next week, and they're going to be working on their one of the priorities is going to be their fall outdoor day. So I don't know if you remember last year we had an outdoor day of play. It went so well that we want to do 2 days this year, one in the fall and one in the spring. So they're going to really start planning the fall day, outdoor day, and then also just some fun stuff for the staff when we get back from for in service in our first staff meeting. So that is those are the nuts and bolts of what the leadership team is going to be working on tomorrow. If you have a chance, the Guiding Coalition will be down at Wales Mills Pub in, scratch the pub part, we'll call it coffee shop. And the Guiding Coalition team is going to be meeting there at 8, and we'll be using their space to meet in the morning, and then we'll be here in the afternoon. So if you're downtown tomorrow, stop by and see us at 8 o'clock and have a chat with some Guiding Coalition folks. Any questions about any of that stuff?
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Wopat.
Good evening. One of the things that you heard from Mr. Luke is that when as we developed these teams, like, it really comes down to ownership and giving the teachers their voice at the table. working with those leaders. Tomorrow we meet at the middle school, high school with Guiding Coalition for our final summer retreat. And we discussed like what are our goals going to be for this upcoming school year. Last month I reviewed with you a lot of like we had went through data the last month. And so tomorrow's really going to be finiting it and just taking the mission, vision, the portrait of the graduate, all that, the values that we worked with, and really setting the goals for this year. So part of that is the logistics and measurements of how we're going to better prepare our students for not only the forward exam, but the pre-ACT and the ACT. We would like to create an action plan for our teachers to be able to observe and reflect best practices when it comes to, like last month I talked about that Tier 1 universal instruction. Basically, what does good teaching look like across the board in the building? The other part is then developing guidance for our PLC collaborative groups. What will they be doing this year, and how can we provide them direction to make sure that, again, they're meeting, that we're all pushing in the same direction. And then we're doing a book study, Time for Change, and so we'll be discussing that and then taking that to the next step. Because really the concept of putting these things into place, and again, having this leadership team, some of them are just questioning the fact of how do we do this and how do we do it effectively. So the PLC Institute has this book called Time for Change, and so we're doing that book study just to learn as much as we can. It's amazing how far we've come so far, and like I said last time, it'll be amazing to see where we're going to be a year from now, because the conversations that we've been having have been extremely powerful, and when it comes to student learning, there's nothing that we've been more focused on. Also for this year, I'd like to share with you that we have an exchange student that is coming. I have nothing to do with this, but they're coming from France. But I'm really excited because then selfishly, I get to speak French with this person. But it'll be great for our students because it's a great way to build that cross-cultural, global cultural investment in our students, just to be able for them to explore what it's like outside, the four walls of the school. My goal is to ask the student to come back in the spring and then share with you what it's been like to be a Bangor Cardinal. Because trust me, schooling in France is nothing like schooling here. So it'll be a good presentation for you come spring. The last thing that I want to share with you guys is just the excitement that preparing for the upcoming school year. One of the things that you noticed and that has gone really smoothly is we went to an online Google form for the athletic registration. And really it was just the whole concept from Mr. Laxton to Mr. Schmeling really was just to keep the coaches up to date of who's able to play and making sure that we're following procedures when it comes to the physical forms. And with a Google form, we're able then to even send out one weekly to the coaches, the emergency forms for all the students so that they had that accessible right away. So we're really excited about having that, kicking that off. Registration yesterday, we went from 2 days last year to 1 day this year, and it went really well. There were busy period times where all of a sudden Melanie in the office was like, oh my gosh, there's a line. But with the photographer, they just kept it going, and it was really slick. Sixth grade and new student orientation is Wednesday, August 26th. It's been exciting to meet a lot of the new families that are coming into the district, give them a tour, and then just to remind them, hey, we're going to have this orientation where we just kind of, again, talk through the nuts and bolts of what it's like to be a Bangor Cardinal. Welcome to come and join us, and they're wanting to come. Like they're excited to be a part of our school district. In-service week is pretty much finalized. It'll be great to welcome our new staff on Monday, the 24th, and then just to see everyone together again on Tuesday, August 25th. Just this week, it's crazy to already see because athletics, has started, but there's already people in the building, and just to start having those conversations and people coming back with that energy of, okay, I've had some time off and I'm ready to get back into things. And so it'll be great to lead up to welcoming students back on August 31st. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wopat. Dr. Brockup.
I've already talked a lot, so I'm going to go quick. I'm not going to give you this whole presentation. All of you have seen this presentation in the past, but what I wanted to do as we were looking at that 4K position, especially as we've had some new open enrollment applications come in across the district, we wanted to make sure you guys had the information that we had in place. So open enrollment is absolutely a thing. It's not going anywhere. enrollment over time. So it is a big asterisk, that gray box there. We're looking at about 667 right now across the district based on what we knew at the end of the day at registration yesterday. That could slightly go up. It could slightly go down. We were up at 663 2 years ago. Took a little dip down last year and kind of returning back to that range this year. So just giving you an idea on the overall enrollment. That does say third Friday head count. Obviously, that gray one is not a third Friday head count. I'll keep you updated after that on what that looks like. On this one, I just wanted to give you an idea, open enrollment, how it ended last year. It's not official, nothing, the counts aren't there for this year, but I wanted to show you how last year ended. We ended with 160 open enrolled students in district-wide and 119 out district-wide. That is a differential of 41 to the positive for the district for the year. When we look at, and again, these are kind of going into what we're anticipating for the 26-27, when our per pupil revenue should be right at $12,050. Regular education tuition, so when they're leaving our district, they're taking with them $11,030, and when they're coming into our district, they're coming in with that $11,030. So again, you want to be to the positive side of that so that we're not just seeing the enrollment money go out of our district. The educational 4K, that's the number from last year. The special education tuition is going up. So you see if we have a student open enroll out of our district, we give that other district more money than we actually get for them per pupil, which is an interesting calculation. Open enrollment costs with that, and that is on last year's number. The district was 400 and I don't have my glasses on.
$23,740.
$423,000 to the good. So that's part of how we were able to run well at the end of the year, put some extra money into Fund 46 for next year. Angie usually calculates that on a 3-year average. So obviously, if you look at the past 3 years, we were up from that, which is why that calculation came out. So, again, open enrollment is part of what we do. The fact that we are having the conversations we're having and that we are to the positive is not the conversation that every school district around us is having. This is a much better financial picture than if it were going the opposite direction for us. We have our caps. We're not exceeding those caps or those numbers that we set in January, and we'll continue to work to serve our kids throughout the year, regardless of where they're coming from. So, wanted to provide that. Lastly, I guess just a shout out again to the team, the work that we've gotten through this summer, and represented a lot on the approvals tonight, the paperwork, the documents that we needed to refresh. So I thank the team for that. Shout out to Ryan Schrader coming into a job, kind of getting thrown in. He took on especially the new projects over at the baseball and softball diamond and watering sod during some of the hottest stretches of the summer, spending day after day out in the sun, rotating sprinklers around and getting that. Walked it today. It looks absolutely beautiful. The sod is establishing well, or is established. We've mowed it a couple times now. It's looking really great over there. So some final touches on the fence in the morning, and then final touches on grade and setting the bases and foul poles and all that stuff. That'll be done. But he has been amazing over there, and shout out to him. I would say similar to Shane. He has just come in, hit the ground running. Talking with him yesterday a little bit, he says, it's kind of fun. I have found that if I come here and get in my office, I'm a lot more productive, and it just makes a lot more sense, and I can ask questions. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad that you're figuring that out. But he's doing a great job, and my understanding is he does a wonderful job at the parent meeting, and so just happy with those guys that are doing that work and entering the district and getting right to it. So with that, that's my report for the evening.
Thank you. All right, so moving on to the consent agenda. Current openings, resignation, and that was just missed last month for our guidance counselor at the elementary. So that is on here now. Schedule C changes, and there, you could see that online or in your packet tonight. Annual declaration and parent notice of the district student academic standards that will be in effect for the upcoming school year, which is under a state statute. And then recurring overnight field trips, and thank you for the list, Dr. Brockup. That's very helpful.
Mr. Wopat, yes.
Oh, Mr. Wopat, thank you. Whoever did it, it's great.
If there are no questions, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Is that Jessica? Motion by Tina, seconded by Jessica to accept the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. I ask for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Joni, seconded by Tina. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, everyone.